Baking your own loaf of bread is super easy. It just takes a little bit of extended time, but the individual time you spend with the bread, not a ton. Get some flour, get some yeast. You can get this at any grocery store. You're gonna need a little bit of some kind of sweetener. You could use sugar, you could use agave, you could use maple syrup. I use honey. Yes, I'm a vegan that eats honey. Chill. If you don't think I'm a true vegan, then you're entitled to your opinion. We can get into what else you can put in, but those are the basics. First things first, you want 2 cups of warm water. Warm, not like boiling, but like bath water, but not actual bath water. 2 cups. 1 tablespoon of yeast, or 1 packet. Just the right amount of yeast left. I need to get more yeast. Stir the yeast around in the water. A couple tablespoons, I don't measure this carefully, big surprise, of honey, or your sweetener. Oh, honey, honey. Oh, I got honey all over my hand. I'm just mixing this all together so that we don't have any clumps of yeast, and all of the honey is dissolved. This is the first bout of waiting. I'm just gonna let that sit for like 15 minutes. After about 15 minutes, your yeast should be getting a little frothy, and it might look just like that. Our next step is to add some flour. I know very little about gluten-free baking, so all my baking is done with gluten flour. I use spelt flour. I like it a lot. Take the thing. Oh, fudge. Too much. And just start stirring it around to get all the liquid and the flour mixed in nicely together. Basically what I'm going for is like a blob of dough, like really wet dough. I think in the end I use about 6 cups of flour, but I think I start by putting in about 4 cups. Wet looking dough here. I'm just gonna keep mixing it all. Ooh, I need 2 hands. I'm gonna get all this stuff off the wall of the bowl, and I'm just gonna keep mixing it until see all the dry flour get mixed in. And it should definitely not look quite like a nice loaf of bread at this point. When you're done mixing that up initially, you need to take either some saran, something airtight. I'm gonna use this big silicone. One of them's like computers, the other one is like a rubbery thing. I'm just gonna plop that over, let it sit for an hour. This is round 2 of waiting. After an hour, your bread will be big and puffy like this. At this time, we're basically gonna add the rest of the flour and then into the flavors that we wanna add. I made almond milk and I've got leftover almond meal, so I'm putting that in. I'm adding in salt. I usually put in about a tablespoon of salt. Bread is good when it's salty. I used to never have salt. I've become like a salt addict lately. I drink a lot of water though, so that's good. Let's see, you can put whatever you want in there. I got this rosemary plant. Wow, that was a lot of rosemary. It'll be delicious. And then we add more flour. I would say add about a cup of flour at this point. Then you're going to continue to mix your bread and get all the clumps out. You might have to get your hands messy at this point. You're basically just kind of beating it around. I just do this. If you mix in some flour and it still feels really wet, add in another 1/4 cup. Mine's pretty wet, so I'm adding a little bit more than a 1/4 cup. Hey, Esther. Esther, say hi. Hi. I put in about the right amount. It's going to expand again, and it's probably going to get wet again. Like, I've got little crumblies on my hands. Also, I put in a lot of almond meal. Maybe a little too much. What? I screwed up? What are the chances? Clean off your fingers. Tap it again. Wait another hour. After we've waited another hour, your bread will be puffed up again, and we are going to punch it down once more. Still a little wet, so I'm just going to, for this last time, add a little bit more flour, but it's actually looking pretty good. I don't need a whole lot. This is actually really sticky. I'm adding like a lot more. As you can see, I don't have a plan. When it comes to cooking, the less you care, the less you get disappointed. I find in the end everything tastes pretty good. Cool. Ta-da! So, I'm going to preheat my oven to 400. I'm going to let this rise a little bit, basically until my oven is at temperature. That's going to be my gauge. Alright, so I'm going to take my bread, now that this is all the temperature, and I'm just going to pop it on a cookie sheet. If you've got a pizza stone or a bread stone, that's cool too. And I'm going to super quickly rinse out this bowl, because this is very important. Alright, keeping this bowl a little wet, I'm actually going to drizzle some water onto this guy. I want a little bit of water in my loaf, because the moisture is good for it. Alright, so I got that. You just need a big bowl or a pot that is oven safe that you can put on top of your loaf of bread. The bowl you mixed it in is probably going to be okay as long as it is oven safe. Don't put like plastic in the oven. I gotta do the going into the oven shot. The going into the oven shot. Cool, I'm gonna leave that in the oven for 40 minutes, so set a timer for 40 minutes. It's been in the oven for 40 minutes. I'm simply going to take it out. It's not done yet, so don't get too excited. I'm gonna take the top off. Oh, it's stuck to the top. This happens sometimes. There we go. Ha! Ta-da! And I'm gonna cook it for another 10 minutes. Take the top off, put it back in the oven, set a timer for 10 more minutes. Put a little lid on it. This keeps it from drying out. And then you want a little bit of a crust, so you take it off. So there's a crust. If you want like zero crust, just leave that on for another like 10 minutes. Alright, my timer went off, and you got yourself a loaf of bread. Ow! Ta-da! Sometimes this sticks. I'm not a baker, I'm just a vegan with a stupid YouTube cooking show. I got it. So some of it stuck to the pan. Oh look, it came out like a heart! I didn't mean for that to happen, because I love bread. Don't forget to turn the oven off.